It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. For the 600th time.
Yeah. We've only done this a few times, I think. 2 or 3 anyway.
Right?
Wow.
600, dude.
Yeah, it's...
You are the godfather of podcasting.
I don't know about that. That or I'm just plain crazy.
And our 300th live Facebook.
That's right. There
Not
you
bad.
Go. Well, let's kick it off tonight. You ready?
I think I'm ready because our special guest is waiting in the wings. Actually, we got 2 special guests.
All right. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. For the 600th time, welcome to the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with none other than Dan DeFall, and we have a special guest sitting with us. We'll introduce here in a little bit, plus our guest that we're going to be talking with all the way from another state. I won't give it away just yet, though.
Right, exactly.
So...
this is awesome. Awesome, excited. We got the cake in the cabin.
I see that.
We got a cake with the
here.
600 on it.
Let me drop the name banner so everybody can see that there.
You know, I thought it'd be a little bit of special occasion here.
You brought a...
We're not going to light the candles due to fire restrictions.
Right. Okay. Well, not that one. Let's see. I got to get everything here together. There we go.
There it is. See, right here.
There we go.
600.
So there you go.
We got a cake. We're gonna.
Our little buddy's right behind it, ready to light the thing up for us.
Right, exactly. So. Mark Coleman, welcome to the show. Mark Allen, welcome to the show.
All right, I've got the feed up and running.
Excellent.
And
shall we talk about a little bit? Tom Gensel, what's happening?
Yeah, let's get with the people that help us and make sure that we get everybody in here tonight.
And just so Billy knows, no.
What's he asking?
I'm not your special guest.
No. I could say something there, but I won't.
Right, exactly.
All right.
Let's talk about our supporters that support us. And you know what? There's nothing better than going out. We talk about buck baits. Going out talking about buck baits. UNJ20 is the promo code. You'll get 20% off your order if you go to buckbaits.com. Get over there, check it out. Get down to Deer Camp if you are in southern Michigan. Get over to Sterling Heights. Get over to Deer Camp. Check out buck baits. They got the line on the wall. And if you've seen our post earlier today and Deer Camp's post earlier than that today, our special guest is now in their stores also. So check that out and wait for that. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Going from there, Packer Max.
It's that time of year.
It is that time of year. Lincoln Road made it safely back from Iowa. And if you want to get $25 off your order and get started in the summer or spring planting, get over to packermax.com. Use the promo code UNJ25. He'll give you $25 off your order. If not, just call him up, talk to him.
There you go.
Our friends over at JPO. It's getting to be about that time. Need a turkey call? Got the mouth calls? We got them here in studio. Get over to www.jpogamecalls.com. If you use the promo code UNJ10, you'll get 10% off your order. One that you don't have that I want to remind everybody, we had him on last week, Dave Buska, wildseasoning.com. If you use the promo code UNJ2021, you'll get 10% off your order when you check out there.
That's some good stuff.
You know what?
Did you dig into it this week?
I did.
And?
I tried 5 different ones, and it's good. And it really, it comes down to...
one every day of the week this week?
No.
Okay.
I got a chicken, and I tried...
You got chickens?
I had a chicken.
Had.
I ate a chicken.
Key phrases.
Right?
Had.
Right? But what I did was I just opened up 5 different ones and tried them.
Okay.
And, you know, depending on what your taste was, you could really go for it there.
All right. Are we ready to go ahead and just get our guest in the cabin tonight?
Billy Hoffman, you're right. The godfather of podcasting, Mike Adams.
Stop.
Daniel Burns.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring his mic up here. I see he's got something in his hand. Uh-oh. I think this is going to give it away. I hear he's doing a little bit of putting and clucking. Tim Sias, all the way from Harts, West Virginia, Lim Walker Game Calls. What is going on, my friend?
Trying to call him off the limb, brother.
I believe I've got one turkey you've already called off. Lim. He's sitting right next to me right here. He's not in full strut, though.
Not yet. But I did get a text from my oldest daughter. There was turkeys over at 7 Lakes in the field.
There you go. It's that time of year, isn't it, Tim?
Absolutely. They're gobbling. They're strutting. They're showing off. They're getting ready. And about the calendar and everything, it won't be much long.
I cannot wait. I've got some of my turkey stuff packed. We talked about that a little bit before the show. There'll be more of what I'm talking about coming up. Probably not tonight, but in a future episode. But I got my turkey stuff put away for temporary time being, and I hope to be breaking it out here real quick. Actually, I do have a couple Lim Walker Game Calls sitting right here, just by chance.
We have, and I looked at this. Oh, you know what? Yours doesn't have it. Mine has a date on it on the back of my per plate that he sent me.
Yeah.
From 2018.
2018. It's been that long?
It's been that long.
Wow. I know we've been working together for a while, but man, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it does. Actually, when we was getting ready, I was setting everything up for you to call me. I was looking at it, and the first time we done this was June of 2018. So okay. I've been here with you now going on 3 years, and it's been a pleasure as always, and love talking with you guys and visiting and everything. So, and I appreciate the support that you give me up in the great state of Michigan. Like you mentioned earlier, we're in the deer camp now, and I appreciate that. And hopefully, all you your friends and neighbors and turkey hunting buddies and everything else that's around Sterling Heights will stop in the deer camp and check them out. And if anything's there, let me know. I left some business cards with him, so give me a call. Look me up here on Facebook. So.
Absolutely.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't your wife from that same general area in Michigan?
She was born in Taylor.
Taylor? There you go.
1974. She was born in Taylor, yeah.
I thought you had some kind of connection besides us up here. I wasn't sure, but my memory's not faded me yet. It's getting there, though, but I tell you what, the 3 years has been awesome working with you.
It has been fantastic. And, even the people that listen to us know that Tim is legendary. Mark Coleman, you are legendary. Tim is legendary.
That's right.
And I think he's absolutely right. There's just things. We watch your show on Friday nights or sometimes Saturday when you got to push things around like we do sometimes, and you get guests on, and you get people that tune in regularly like we do. You make a pot call that's just they're amazing. Now, I know you make a red slate and
Roll Tide. That's my Roll Tide slate.
Yeah, Roll Tide.
Right? But, so, I just want to remind everybody, you've been on the show before, but it's so glad to have you for our 600 show, especially actually for all of us working together and getting you into deer camp today, meeting Julie, talking with her down at deer camp. But I just want to ask you, when you make these calls, what's the feeling you get when you send it out to whoever it is, and they might send a picture, they might send a note, or what's that feeling you get in return when they used your call or your per plate?
Satisfaction. I start my calls, I literally get the logs out of the mountain. And I process that wood. From the time it's cut down on the ground, and I get it, I bring it home, and then I plank it out, I should say, make boards, and I set it up, I let it dry, for at least a year. And then when I'm ready to use that wood, I'll take it and I'll cut my blanks out, and then it just starts to, the process has already started. And knowing that I've taken something from the mountains here in West Virginia and turned it into an instrument that can call a wild turkey, and someone can use that to harvest a turkey, it's just satisfaction. You know, it's, as you can see, this is cherry, and this is probably one of my favorite woods. I love working with cherry.
Why is that?
When I'm cutting it, it smells so good. If that makes sense. But no, I mean, to me, if you could see, I don't know, you see the character.
Yeah, you can see the lines in it. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just a little piece, and it's just beautiful on how this is. And like I said, every piece of wood that I have is all from West Virginia. I don't use, it's a ceramic, and but now don't get me wrong, I would love to use some of the exotic woods and everything, but when I have some at my own disposal, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm going to use West Virginia grown products, but it's just satisfaction that someone took something that I made with my hands, and I was blessed to be able to do it and turn it into an instrument to call in a wild turkey and harvest it. And it's just, it's great. It's fantastic. I've had a lot of pictures from a lot of successful hunts that people sent me, and I got a lot of supporters all around this country, and I'm truly thankful for all that they've done and what the support they get. So.
You also have one from a foreign country as well. I see he pops into the show every once in a while.
Yeah, he's from China, and he actually produces the TSS buckshots that everybody uses over here to load their own shells.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you a little story. He messaged me one night because when he'll get on, and he's friends with quite a few people, and he messaged me one day. He said, "Would you please refer to me with my English name?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. What is it?" And he says, "Larry." So even though on Facebook his name is Helin, Helin, you may hear me say, "Hi, Larry, how are you?" And I'm referring to him.
Okay, I get it. That's awesome. See, so you're actually just as much around the world as anybody.
No kidding.
I mean, you're send them a call.
So you're talking about the wood that you actually go out and pull it out of the home woods right there. So the wood that you use is all out of West Virginia.
Yeah. I have wild cherry, black walnut, and I'm currently waiting on. I have curly maple that's drying, and I just got it done. I just got it in the process back in the summer. So I'm looking at early summer before I really want to start using it for calls. Because if you don't let it dry at least a year, then there's chances of it warping and cracking, and then it just defeats all the purpose of everything. But I do have some hard maple, which
does cedar make a good pot call?
Yes, cedar's very good. This one here, now that center, don't mind it. That is something I was experimenting with today, and my whole saw. But that is some hard maple that I was playing around with. But cedar's very good. I mean, I had cedar from a gentleman that I used to work with, that his dad used to make knife handles. His dad passed away, and he called me one day and he said, "Hey," he said, "I got a bunch of cedar in their mom's house." He said, "Are you interested in it?" And I said, "Well, yes." He said, "There's about 50 boards." He said, "You're more than welcome to them." And we worked out a deal. And me and my brother-in-law wrote down, and we got it. And yeah, it's very good. Now I'm going to tell you something. It's how the smell of cedar, the aroma of cedar, it is very strong. You need to have a face mask on or have a fan blowing the dust away from it.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, well, when I take my cedar down, I might have to ship you some.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, remember Joe Slayton that I had on a couple of weeks ago on the live? I had a big plank, and he was talking about working with Western white cedar. And I asked him, I said, have you ever used Eastern red cedar? And he said, no. And so I sent him a plank, and he sent this back.
No way. That is awesome.
That's one of Joe's Hooters that he made, and that's 50-year-old red cedar that comes from Elk Creek, Virginia.
Wow, that is cool.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. I know we've got somebody else
somebody's else chomping at the bit to talk to Tim.
Got some questions lined up for you here, so we're going to take a quick step outside, and we'll be right back after this. All righty, everybody that's on, you got questions, get them lined up. We'll let you get set there before you make the switch. You got your calls with?
Can Terry hear me?
Yeah, he can still hear you right now. Yep.
Terry wants stuff I use spruce in any of the calls.
He's talking about your brother.
What's up?
And I have not.
He was asking. Your brother's got a question that Tim was referring to. He's asking if Terry could hear him.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, we're still broadcasting. So.
Yeah, well, Tamuel asked that question, or did you answer it?
He already did.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't.
No, that's good. No, that's what we like to do here during the break. So if we can get some of that stuff out and share it.
And Mark Copeland's got a good question that we'll get. If you want to do over.
Okay. Yep, I'll ask that coming right back in. All righty. Just a second here and we'll get going. Y'all set? Okay.
Ready when you.
All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. And welcome to the show, Tammy.
Thanks for having me.
Tammy Delk, one of our UNJ cohorts here that helps us behind the scenes that you've actually sent some calls up to. But before we get to her questions, we got a question on here that we want to get answered real quick. Mark Coleman says to Tim, why a circle shape and size? Assuming the size is due to fitting an average size hand, is that the case? And is that why we use circle versus something else?
Well, a basic pot call is just a round pot that goes, a round shape that, similar to a pot. But there is a lot of call makers out there that are making different styles. I mean, there'll be the I call the stop sign call. They make the octagon style.
Yeah.
And that's, a lot of talent doing it like that, to cut those angles and everything on it. And then you have some that they make a coffin that looks like a coffin call. Then they make the trough calls and things like that. I just picked up starting, learning to do the pot call because it's a basic call. And it's a basic 3.5-inch surface, it's a playing surface. And then it's got a 3.25-inch soundboard on the inside. So there's a surface on the inside of this too as well, glass. And that is used as a resonator, like on a guitar. So to get your sound when you're running your call.
Never mind me. I'm just playing. Well, with that being answered, I know Tammy has just got some calls here recently. Got her limb walkers here with her. Tammy, I'm just going to hand it over to you and let's let you talk to Tim here. And what do you got for him?
Well, first of all, thanks for being on. And thank you for sending me these autographed pot calls. They make the sound much better. But I'm very curious, as in, maybe other people have this type of question. I just got these. What do I do? How do I use them? How do I start? Things like that. Do you have any tips and tricks? Because not everybody maybe that's watching our show watches your Friday Night Lives to see those shows, because you do. And I invite everybody to go over to Tim's Friday night shows. he has amazing callers on, and he will talk about, and he'll ask very nice questions about the newbies, the rookies, things like that. But I don't have time, to research YouTube or whatever for hours on end. So any tips you can give?
Okay. Basically, what you want to do, now you can hold it like this, or kind of grab it like with your fingers. You're going to hold it down. Okay. Now you're going to hold your striker like a pencil, like you're going to write. But you want to put your palm of your hand on the side. You don't want to put it on the surface. For one, that's going to take away from your sound. For two, that's going to put oil on it that you don't want. So what you're going to do, Tammy, you're going to kind of put it on, and then now you see how I'm holding it straight up and down. You kind of want it tilted away from you, the striker head away from you, and leave it on. Don't raise it up. You don't want to do that because you're hearing the click, click, click. Leave it on and just do small circles.
There you go. She's got it.
Right.
Now listen, what little bit you did, believe it or not, could call a turkey in. You don't have to sit there and go, you don't have to do that.
But I want to
Just
get to learn how to do that.
Yeah. What was that?
She wants to get to learning how to do that.
Okay, you want to learn to do that, you've got to practice.
Right.
Practice. Practice. And I say that because it's embedded in my head from my dad. God rest his soul, when I was 18 years old, he handed me a lynch box call and said, practice, practice, practice. And that's what I done. We literally drove my mom and my sister crazy come springtime. Because we would sit in the back of the house. He had a little office back there, a little den. My dad was a businessman, and he would take care of some stuff in the evening. We'd sit out there at his desk, and it would yelp, 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 click, click, click. I learned to cut, learned to do all that on a box call, that lynch box call. My dad never used nothing but a lynch box call. And then I got in later on as it went on. I started buying, the aftermarket calls that people, mass produced that people had. Because that's all we had from where I was at. I didn't know of custom calls. And then eventually I started doing it. But you've got to practice. Now, this is a diamond wood striker. That's a hard striker, hard wood. You can here's a Purple Heart. You can do the same thing with this Purple Heart. You could do it with anything, but you just sit there just a minute ago, Tammy, and you went. That will call a turkey in just as well as me sitting there cutting and fast yelping. So what you're doing there is your first basics and your first steps of doing it. And the reason why I sent you a black slate is because this is probably one of the most forgiving friction calls that there is out there. Mm-hmm. You hear that? You can still do that and still call a turkey. But you're on the big stage in a calling contest, you just lost 5 points. But soft calls. Now, you and your boyfriend are at home. He's out in the yard, say cutting grass. He can't hear you all too well. You step on the back porch and you yell at him. You have to speak loud to get his attention. Am I right?
Right.
He comes to the house, your tone drops. You know, you're not.
See, that was going
screaming
where
at him.
I thought he was going to suggest using the pot call to, yell to him.
You know, you're screaming at him when he comes to the back porch.
Right.
So that's the same way with turkey hunting. You want to give out a few and then when he's coming to you, he's 50, 60 yards away, then you want to you don't want to scream and yell and
Right. So the
yell at
closer
him
they
again.
get, you tone it down.
the lower the tone.
Yeah.
Now, your gun, it's another thing that when do you stop calling when you're doing all this? If your gun shoots out to 45, 50 yards good and you know that, put the call down.
Right.
He'll come to you. And you don't want to overcall.
Right.
You don't want him to lose interest. Because if you sit there and go, yap, 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 he's going to that hand's crazy. I ain't going down there. You just have to entice him.
Right.
We got a couple of questions that relate to the being a newbie side, as she says.
I can't hear you, Mike.
I said we got a couple questions here about being new to this, and they go right along with what she's saying, being a newbie, about preparing the disc. How do you sand? We know, those of us turkey hunting know. Where do you use sandpaper? Where do you use Scotch-Brite? What do you use on which surfaces?
That's a good question. On a slate or a ceramic or an aluminum, a good piece of Scotch-Brite, and just in a side-to-side motion. Now, the reason why I say side-to-side, east to west, and it did not dawn on to me this until I had a guy named Benny Collins on my first show this year. Because when he said, this is an instrument, and he said, you go side to side on that, and then you play top to bottom or north to south, it's like playing a guitar. When you're playing a guitar, you're strumming it, right? But it's the same way with the call. You go side to side, and then you want to go up and down. Glass, sandpaper, a 120 piece of sandpaper, and if you can tell without the glare, it's right on the edge of your call, right on the edge of the surface. And the reason being is the outer edge is louder, and then as you go into the center, it gets duller. So you want it's the same thing, Tammy. Now, if I go towards the center, you see how the tone of it goes?
Right.
The outside of it is a lot louder. So, a 120 grit piece of sandpaper, side to side. And avoid at all costs, if you can, touch that with your finger, because you have oils on your hand, on your finger. And touching that and doing that is going to affect that there. And even the tips of your striker. So the outer edges of your calls, even on the slates, the ceramics, things like that, the outer edges is where you want to play your note.
Okay.
And really, that's about all the maintenance that you need to do to this, right? I mean, we got a question from Todd.
And then just every once in a while, even on your strikers, you'll get glass residue, slate residue or something, and just and it's gone. Keep them conditioned.
And you're using the sandpaper, not the Scotch-Brite?
On the glass, yeah, the sandpaper.
No,
on the striker.
on the striker.
On the striker, yeah.
Okay.
I tell you what, I've been out before, and on my leather boots, I would take my striker and run up and down the eyelets. I know it might sound crazy, but instead of reaching in and moving and getting the sandpaper, I'd run it up down my eyelets on the sides of my boots just to clean the striker tip off to run it.
Gotcha.
And yeah, you're talking about the oils. I've had mornings where I'm out and the temperature's changing and it's a lot of moisture in the air, and you look down and either off of a limb tip above me has the dew has dripped off and hit the slate, or just the moisture in the air has turned the slate wet.
Okay.
I know you got something for that.
There's a little bit of water. There's your dew, Mike.
Yep.
Acrylic. Piece of acrylic. And it's the same thing. Now you're going to get but it's the same basic thing. The acrylic is waterproof, and you'll still get the same sound on it.
When you first told us that, I think that was last year before last, I was blown away that you could use acrylic on a slate call and it wet and make it play. And I've showed that to several people at turkey seminars that we were doing, Danny and I were doing, and you just amaze people. They're like, well, you can't play that now. Well, yeah, well, watch me.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a hunting show several years ago, and I bought a pot call, and it was a plastic pot, double-sided plastic pot, and they had an acrylic striker and they were running and everything. I said, "Hey, what is that?" And he told me, and I said, "Well, what does that do?" And he said, "Well, when your surface gets wet," he said, "you can still use it." I said, "Does that come with that?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, be sure to put it in the package I want." Now, I don't know whatever happened to it, because, this was back in the 90s, but I had that. That was my first experience of an acrylic striker with a wet surface.
Wow. All them years ago, and I never knew. Wow.
Yeah, now, I tell you another secret, too, that a lot of people, a little tip that some people will do, JB Weld. Get your JB Weld, get it mixed up. Mm-hmm. Put it on a piece of cardboard, however you use it. You don't have to use a lot. And it works better with a flat tip striker, such as that right there. Mm-hmm. Take it and just dip it. For example, this is the JB Weld. Just kind of dip it and twist it, turn it upside down. You got a little piece right here. You got a little bit of here on top, maybe about a 1/16 of an inch thick. Let it dry overnight. It's aluminum, same thing.
I'll be dang. I'm going to try that.
Well, think about it. You got JB Weld sitting around in your garage. You got JB Weld sitting around in your garage, just sitting there. Just take and mix up a little mixture, put it there like I said, on a piece of cardboard or whatever you do, and just take one of your strikers. You could use one of the strikers you don't use, or anything like that. It's just laying around, and you're like, oh, that's useless. Mm-hmm. Dip it down in there, put that on that, and you've got yourself a waterproof striker.
Wow. Never would have known. The things you learn from Limb Walker game calls.
Right.
I
have a question, if you don't
That's
mind.
not something that I've come up with. I've learned this from other people, too.
Right. Well, you got another question you said, Tammy?
Yeah, if you don't mind, and even in the chat, I had looked up and I noticed one of our people are asking, and I would like to know, if you do get a film or residue of oil on your pot calls, what is the best way to remove it without further ruining it and changing the tone?
You just sand it up real good.
Okay.
You got your glass. Just take your sandpaper, and just sand it up. Okay. You might have to do a little bit of extra, but that's basically all you have to do. Just clean it off.
Okay.
I I actually know some people that has taken, they'll take Windex and clean the glass for crystal, and then they'll go back and, get their playing surface, things like that. It's not the end of the world or anything like that. You take your Scotch-Brite, clean it off. When I put these calls together, there's sometimes glue will get on it. So after it dries and everything, I just take the Scotch-Brite and clean it off. I mean, it comes off real easy. You can, here's a green slate. That's wet. Just once it's wet, or you say, whatever you might have on it, Scotch-Brite will clean it right off.
Okay.
I mean, rain, when you're out hunting and it rains, or like Mike said, it's got the, a dampy, dewy morning, foggy morning, and you pull that out, don't pull it out unless you've got yourself an acrylic striker.
Okay.
Kind of keep it in. I don't know. I guess it's just the material, but I mean, slate will draw dampness before a glass.
Yeah, it's a real porous material. It'll suck it right up, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to step outside. When we come back, we're going to throw Danny back in the hot seat here for a minute. He's over here chomping at the bit, so we'll swap him in and
He's
out.
not happy I took his seat.
No. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll be right back after this. All right. If you got more questions, great questions, guys and gals, get them in. And I'm going to let Danny run through these. I know he's been looking at them, so we'll get some of these other questions answered as well. All right. We're going to save this off. And we'll get going with the next segment. All righty.
Yeah, just everything.
Well, it's only 2 more segments. We get to bust that cake out.
I know, right?
Alrighty. You let me know when you're ready, Dan.
Go.
All right. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We got Danny back in the seat here. We got a bunch of questions coming in here. So
Tammy with some great questions.
absolutely.
Do you got a slick stick with you, Tim?
A
what?
Do you have a slick stick?
Slick stick.
From Primos?
A Primo slick stick. Do you got one of
No,
those?
oh, yeah. Are you talking about the conditioning?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's another little tool, handy tool to have in your turkey vest.
Yeah.
That has you can rough up your glass. It has all the tools in it to use on a pot call, your striker, box call. Pick one of those up, and it's a great little tool to have.
10, 15 bucks somewhere in there. Still 10 bucks?
$10.
Okay. I didn't know if they raised the price.
Let me tell you something else too. It's got a little eyelet ring in it.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is, which I don't have it on there now, but I will take a 60 grit, probably an 80 grit, all the way up to a 120 or 140 grit piece of sandpaper and cut a little square.
Mm-hmm.
Pop a hole in it and put it on here.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned
way,
that.
Everything, you don't have everything in 20 pockets in your vest. You've got it all right here.
You know what? That's a great segue into the next question I have for you. Is there anything that you suggest for accessories, like a wrist loop or a necklace, especially when you want to free up your hands to take the shot? Like we just talked about, instead of rummaging through your vest for sandpaper, just doing what you said there, putting it on the rings and putting it on the slick stick. Is there anything else that you would think about?
Using a mouth call. Get you a mouth call when the turkey is, and this is the way I do, which I've got one in my mouth all the time. But what I do is when I know that turkey's coming and he's within that 50-yard range, even though I might not be able to see him, but I can hear him spitting and drumming, I know he's close. I set the calls down and I have my gun in my hand up on my shoulder, and I've got my mouth call, and I will cluck cluck or I'll purr, something real soft. I don't go real loud. I don't do nothing like that. Just nothing to scare him off or entice him. If just enough to bring him, something soft.
Right, exactly. So that's a good tip. Is when these turkeys get in close, because their eyesight is just fan-freaking-tastic. The less movement you got to do. If you're in a blind, even movement within a blind, they can see it. Especially if you go between a window. But yeah, definitely learning that mouth call. And that's another thing.
JPO mouth calls.
We got JPO's mouth calls. Speaking of that, JPO is on. That's another thing. You mentioned about practice. Practice, right?
Right. And also, let me say this too. Scotch Brite can go on there too.
Yep, right, exactly. I found that little $10 item is priceless.
Absolutely.
And then like you said, learning about the acrylics and everything is just great information to have. So, and my brother says to go over to Freedom Hill, Tammy. Practice.
So we got a couple other questions that kind of go hand in hand here. Talking about acetone, if you can use that. And Mark Holman says he uses hydrogen peroxide as a cleaner on his. So acetone, hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, well, now acetone is pretty potent, because I'm going to be honest with you. If I make a call that I don't like, that I just don't get the sound, I can't get it tuned right, then it gets an acetone bath. And what that means is it goes in acetone for about 24 hours and I take it apart. So use that, very loosely around, because the glue, that acetone will eat the glue. The hydrogen peroxide is an excellent idea for that too. I just wouldn't use it on glass, because there's a possibility that it could leave a film on.
Okay.
The slate and the ceramic and aluminum, I don't think it'd be any trouble. But on the glass, I wouldn't, because like I said, the film. But the acetone kind of be just a little loose, because it's liable to you can get down in on the glue and it could break that apart.
It could do more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility, yeah. Because I tell you what, that stuff, when I pull a pot out, most of the time the surface is already starting to break off.
Right.
From the glue. And what I'll take it apart and I'll clean the surface, that surface up, and I'll reuse them. Just get rid of the pot. I just didn't, get my right measurements on the depthness and everything that I used, and it just didn't sound right. And I said, if I won't take in the mountains, I'm not going to let nobody else take in the mountains.
Got a question here from Sean Keaton. Have you ever encountered one of those gobblers that would walk away unless you called to him?
Seems like every one of them. Yeah. Quite a few times. And actually, I've had them to walk away. And that results in either overcalling. Like I was talking to Tammy, that, you don't want to yep all the time. You want to make it a little more enticing towards them. But yeah, I've had them turkeys to walk away too.
And isn't that frustrating when you get one coming in? It's on, and all of a sudden at about 60 yards, they just say, I'm done. I'm going to just hang up here and look at you and strut back and forth and stare.
Well, you're trying to get a bird to do what it's not supposed to do. I mean, the hen's supposed to go to the gobbler. Yeah,
we're defying nature when that happens. When you're calling a gobbler too, you're defying nature. But now you got to look at something. There's a couple of reasons why that may happen, though, Danny. He may leave a hen that you might not hear, or she might not be so vocal or anything. He may just come to see what's going on out there. And so he don't see nothing, or he don't see another turkey, then he'll turn around and go back to the real thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Like you said, you're defying nature, first off. And then if he hears something but can't see what it is, because their eyesight is really good, he's like, well, okay, I looked. I'm turning around and going back to the real thing. Absolutely.
Well, I was talking about... go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought.
You're talking about the turkey's eyesight. When it comes to the turkey's eyesight, you've got a human's got a 360. There's 360 degrees in a circle, and a turkey's head, their eyes are on the side of their. They have binocular vision compared to a human has a monocular vision, side to side. And no, I'm sorry, we have the binocular side to side, and the turkeys has the monocular. Their vision is 270 degrees. So out of 360 degrees, the only thing they can't see is 90 degrees. And a turkey can be coming to you, and you think you're looking, and Tammy and the newbies and anybody else kind of remember this. Just because a turkey is looking at you and you're afraid to move, you think, oh, no, he's looking at me. Not necessarily, because he's looking out the side of his head and he's looking at something else. But when he turns that head, he's looking out there, he could be looking at you. Because he can look at one eye this way, and this eye here will stay straight.
That's right.
So
their eyes move independently of each other versus where ours move together.
Right. That's why I got mixed up on the binocular and the monocular, the vision of it. I mean, the humans has the binocular, which is side to side, and our eyes move together. The turkeys, this one can stay straight, and this one will move over. And so if he's looking straight, and you're thinking he's looking, he's looking right at you, there's a possibility he's focused out here. Mm-hmm. And then you take a 90 degrees, you stretch your arm out straight and this arm out to the side, that's 90 degree angle, or 45, or no, a 90 degree angle. So you're looking at that 90 degrees. That's the only thing that a turkey cannot see. And that's not much.
Not at all. Absolutely, that's not at all. And that's one of the things when you're either sitting against a tree or you're in a blind, and when, like you said, you switch to your mouth call when they're getting in tight, because granted, he might be coming straight at you, but all he's got to do is turn a little bit and he'll pick you up.
Oh yeah. Well, he can see you bat your eyes.
Now, talking about sight, this kind of goes along with it. I'm the type of person, I don't like to use decoys. I carry them with me, but I don't tend to use them very much because I like to run and gun, number one. But with that, I'm always afraid that there's no movement, and a turkey's not, they're going to think something's wrong. What do you think as far as when you're running and gunning and moving? Do you like to use decoys, or do you not like to set up decoys?
No, I don't. For me, less is more for me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to carry a decoy around, especially in these mountains. And because once I do kill a turkey, then I'm carrying a turkey, a shotgun, and decoy. So no, I don't like that. Now, I've never hunted in fields or in pastures, and from my understanding, the way those guys that do decoys is a necessity. Mm-hmm. That you put them out there. But as far as in the mountains and the tree lines and stuff, I don't necessarily use them. I have. I'm not going to say that I haven't, but I have. But 99% of the turkeys that I've killed, you can see here, all them right there, never used a decoy.
I think for field turkey hunting, I know from experience, because Kelly called in one of my birds that I killed. We were using a decoy, and as soon as they broke the field and they saw those decoys, and she just purred a little bit, they picked up on it and they just came straight in on a line, and it was neat to see them. It was even better to shoot them, not gonna lie, but I
think it's got a lot to do with that long vision, that distance that they got to cover when they see that. Then they make that beeline. If you're calling and they're looking in a field and they don't see anything, then I think they're like, oh, wait a minute, we ought to be able to see them because of the distance. But in the woods, when I'm running and gunning, I just don't carry them with me. I don't like them.
Yeah, even the collapsible ones. I never did like them. Mm-hmm. Now I have a whole bag, a whole satchel out there, to be honest with you. And when we have youth hunts and things like that, we do hunt on a surface mine. Mm-hmm. That on the reclaimed areas of it. So yeah, I'll carry decoys then, and that just to help, like I said, to entice him in an open area. Mm-hmm. But when it comes right down to it, within the mountains and stuff, I never was a big fan of it.
Yeah, I got you. All right.
I like to use them. Yeah, sometimes, yep, you're right, Lyndon. Ed. Sometimes jakes will scare other gobblers, no doubt about it. Sometimes the gobblers will want to kick their butts too.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a proper way to transport to and from the woods? Maybe some proper long-term storage of your pot calls.
Get you a vest. Just about every vest nowadays comes with pot call pockets. There's also a lady, Linda Green, I believe it's her name, or Glenna Green. I might be wrong. Ed knows. Maybe Ed can post the name of it. She makes a satchel that has different compartments for box calls and pot calls.
Okay.
Those are excellent. Actually, last week, my guest, Tim Murdoch, he actually had her first one she ever made, her prototype.
That's where the name sounded. It rang a bell. As soon as you said satchel, and I'm like, where did that come from? And it was last week. Yes. He actually searched that out to buy that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And she'll make box call holders, pot call holders, and then the satchels that each call goes down in. And I pretty much 100% of the vests that are out there on the market now has different compartments, different pockets for a pot call.
Absolutely.
I put two in my pocket.
I do too. I make sure my vest is overloaded with Lim Walker game calls.
You never know what the birds are going to like. I mean, that and strikers.
There's sometimes if it's windy, if it's I'll use the batwing mouth call. It's you never know what they're going to like. They're can be picky.
You're a little batty anyway.
Thank you. thank you very much.
Well, I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our last break. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way, and we come back. Right out of the gate, let's touch a little bit on the per plate. That's one thing we really haven't talked about tonight yet, so we'll hold that for the next segment. We'll be right back after this. Okay.
All right, everybody. Last segment of the show. If you got any questions, get them in here.
Me and Mr. Ed Thornhill those Linda and Ed are awesome people. Me and him started hunting about 2 or 3 years ago and become better friends, which I've known him from him. I serviced his store when I worked for Pepsi.
Okay.
But we never, as far as doing any hunting or anything like that never happened. But the last few years, me and Ed's got to become real good friends, and Ed's a real father figure to me. And I appreciate him and Linda for all that they've done for me and the friendship they've given us. They're great people.
All right. You ready, Tammy?
I am.
All righty. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Before we get going too deep into this, I want to give a quick shout out to M123 FM up in Newberry that carries our show. And actually, we've been doing this a couple weeks now. We're going to go back live to their camera outside on the street. And I don't see snow in Newberry, Danny. There's something going on amiss up there. Is it global warming?
Yeah.
Could it be spring?
Could it be spring? Yeah.
It's got to mean something good.
Yeah, it's got to mean
must be
something.
sprung.
When you're in the UP and there's no snow and it's March, something's wrong. But as usual, there's no cars on the street, so not a lot happens at this hour up in the UP. So I think everybody's probably getting ready for work tomorrow. But we'll come back now and we'll jump all the way back down to Harts, West Virginia with Tim Sias from Lim Walker Game Calls. Tim, before we went to break there, we talked about a lot of things tonight, but we got the per plate here. We talked about it really quick at the beginning of the show, but run down this one real quick for us and what people can expect to get out of this call that you make.
The per plate. I make a left-handed per plate and a right-handed per plate.
I did not know that.
You see
the curve, yeah, but I didn't know there was a right and a left-handed.
Well, I just started doing it, Mike, and the reason being is this. I was out making some, and I got to thinking, I said, not all hunters are right-handed like me. So I'm holding this in my left hand, and I got my striker in my right hand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run my, And so when I had my jig, I just flipped it over.
Okay.
And I said, I'm gonna make some left-handed. So a left-hander that would use, and I cannot do it, so please don't ask. He'll hold it in his right hand. And run it with his left hand.
Okay.
You know, a round pot call is, you know,
Ambidextrous.
yeah, it can be used in any hand. That's the word I was looking for and couldn't say it. But when I was making these per plates, and I kept making, I said, you know, I just assumed it hit me, and all of a sudden it hit me. Bam! You need a left and right hand, and that's exactly what I done. So, I mean, this is black walnut, and I just turned my jig over, and so I have
got it right and left-handed.
And the reason, and let me tell you this right here, is to fit the contour of your thumb through here.
Right.
It just sits in there, and it cups in your hand. You want to hold the striker up high, and loose. And what that does is, it gives it more vibration to where you're going to.
Oh, we got our feed that's locked up right there. I'm going to hang on here just a second. Hopefully he comes back. We may have lost him. We gotta feed the internet and get the squirrels here. I don't know if you can still hear us, Tim, but oh, there he is.
So
he's back.
What you want to do is...
We lost you there partway through.
You got me?
Yeah, we got you back.
Danny. Mike.
Yep, I'm here. Well, the feed's breaking up a little bit back and forth.
I swear I didn't do it.
Danny's up running around here in the cabins. He must have kicked the cable or something. I don't know.
Are you there?
Yeah, I've got you. I can hear you, but I don't have the visual on you. It's froze up just a little bit. Yeah, we lost him again.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Yeah, I got you, Tim. We're having bad connection here.
Right.
Danny, go ahead and text him. I tell you what, we'll crank along here with just Tammy and I here. Let's take this
Hello?
back full. You there, Tim? Are you back? You got us, Tim? Yeah, he is gone. Yep, there went the feed.
Uh-oh.
All right, so Tammy, it's just going to be you and I here, I guess, for towards the end of the show. But he was running down the per plate there. We've got ours right here, and
And I got my left hand.
as I
on.
knocked the mic over here, so basically he was just showing the contour there, the way it fitted in the palm of his hand, and. Okay, he's trying to call me now, so call him back. And that way we'll just tell him we're close here to the end, so we'll just finish up. But you know what? Since we don't have Tim on with us, and you're in the hot seat right now,
Uh-oh.
we love these questions at the end of the show. I'm going to turn the tables on you because you're the one that's always bugging Danny.
I know.
So here it
you
is.
started something.
Yeah.
You got it,
So we started this, and we're going to turn the tables a little bit here in our 600th episode. What better time to do it than to put you on the seat here? So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. We're going to mix it up. We're going to
Only 600. Huh?
only 600 questions. That's right. We expect 601 answers, but we're going to mix it up a little bit tonight. We'll throw some different questions. Seeing how it's 600, we'll make it a little different. So far, out of your outdoor experiences, what is the one thing that you haven't hunted yet that you want to hunt?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
Everything. I've
And why?
never hunted anything other than white-tailed deer.
Okay.
So I wanna hunt it all.
Okay.
Yep.
So what would be the first thing that you had an opportunity to go do that you really want to do?
Short list,
Uh-huh.
turkey.
Turkey. Okay. So this is going to be your first year turkey
This will
hunting.
be my first year turkey hunting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm really excited.
Okay. Are you going to do that on public land or private?
Private.
Private. Okay. All right, and you got birds there. You kind of scouted already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. During the fall season, when I was sitting in the blind,
Okay.
you know, I heard them gobbling off.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, just
Come back in the spring.
stay there. We'll be back.
We'll put you in the pot. We'll invite you over for dinner.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Put you on the grill.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of grill, what's your favorite wild game food?
Oh my gosh. Anything. I like all hot dead animal. I don't discriminate.
I like them
If you
all.
were given a choice of your meal, what would you choose of your hot dead
Oh
animal?
my gosh.
Lettuce and
I'd rather
vegetables?
have it chosen for me
Okay.
because
How would you
between
A big surprise.
walleye,
Uh-huh.
back straps,
How would you like them
venison
prepared?
back straps.
Okay.
Yeah, very well.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Linda wants to go elk hunting.
Okay. So there you go. You two can hook up and go out
There you
west and
go.
go on the elk hunt.
Well, we can even do that here if we get into that
Draw the tag. Well,
Jennifer Drake
yeah, she can take you.
guide service if we win that lottery.
There you go. So, okay, speaking of like elk hunting, most people go out west.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been out west?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
as an adult, no.
Okay.
As a child, you know, backseat of a, you know, family van.
Okay.
You know,
Well, what about fishing? I know fishing's, one of
fishing
your.
I love, and I
Okay.
just started fishing and hunting just a few years ago.
Okay.
Never been, and you know, had that disclaimer. Well, if you date me, you know,
You
I
better
want to
get your
hunt and I
outdoors
want
on.
to fish. I'm like, well, would you teach me?
Yeah.
And you can ask Todd. He created a monster.
And Todd ruined you.
He ruined me.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Now
Tim
I'm.
says that he was looking forward to the end of the show for the questions.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know what happened to the feed. It just it went. Occasionally that happens. So, but we're prepared for anything here. We just
That's
keep it
right.
rolling. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. Archery. Have you done any archery yet?
I have hunted with a crossbow.
Okay.
I would like to get more proficient in it.
Okay.
As far as non-crossbow.
Okay. You using
you
a
know.
vertical bow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to learn how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. All right.
But yeah.
Does anybody else in your family, before you met Todd, does anybody, like your dad, you got uncles, anybody in your family that hunted?
Nobody.
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 So you came by this strictly through Todd.
Yeah. Well, I have to be honest. My brother, it just came to me. My brother lives in Alaska, and he has gone hunting.
Okay. He lives in Alaska?
He lives in Alaska. Yeah.
Why are we still here?
I know,
Why-
right?
Well, because the out-of-state tags
And
are
what's his number?
enormous.
Right.
But and he just picked that up within the past few years, I guess.
Okay.
But that would, I would love to, my fantasy hunt would be like moose, caribou, and
All the big
all
game
that.
species out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
yep.
Is there a big game species that kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies that maybe you're scared to hunt?
Bear.
Bear?
But I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michigan black bear,
Yeah.
not really scary.
Right.
People think they are at times, but what are you looking at, Danny?
You have one. You have
Oh,
chatter their teeth.
yeah,
You think
I've been snapped at
Yeah.
by one or two. Yeah, I was sized up by a big, probably 350, 400 pound black bear.
Right.
I wasn't so much scared for myself, but it
Right.
was sitting in front of the tree stand that my son was in. And he was about
Yeah.
10 at the time, so yeah, that got me a little unnerved. But generally speaking, they're all right, not too big of a deal. What else can I ask you?
I know what Tammy can ask you.
What's that?
It's your 600 show.
Uh huh.
Give us a memorable moment of a show.
Memorable moment of a show. Wow. I gotta say, probably our 500th episode, Danny, was probably the most memorable podcast because there was so much going on within that episode. I mean, we recorded it in chunks that day on the ATA floor. It was our first year, being down there.
ATA, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't talked about that before. But
No,
being-
I meant this was the year for me to go.
I know. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
like,
It's not
oh,
like
man.
we've not talked about it a million times, and then get you all fired up, and then you can't go. So, but that I think that one had to be the most memorable of the shows that really sticks in my head because, we interviewed a lot of people, that day, and then that one, and probably right up there with it is last year's ATA show. I forget which episode it was, but we had Pedro de Amporo on again. We had Donnie Vincent. And we just started going through some of the bigger celebrities, and that to me, meeting Donnie the first time, Danny can recall this on the show floor. I was just kind of like,
starstruck, huh?
Yeah, nobody else really bothered me, but
Right.
his cinematography that he puts out to me is so captivating, and I always kind of gravitate towards that. It's just something that pulls me in. But then to have him on the show, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
That I think probably
And that's
for me
a
that was
gift and a talent when you can draw somebody in to where you feel as a viewer like you're in that
moment.
moment
Yeah.
with them. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was
That's
probably